Hi, my name is Connor Harwig, and I believe that Disney ruined the Star Wars franchise. The Disney trilogy of movies that Star Wars made all have problems. The Force Awakens copied too much from one of the original trilogy movies, A New Hope. The Last Jedi had issues with characters acting quote unquote out of character and ruining many people's views and hopes for their favorite characters. The icing on top was The Rise of Skywalker with its massive plot issues. First movie, The Force Awakens, for many fans was an exciting time. Not only were we getting a new Star Wars movie for the first time in 10 years, but it was from Disney. Originally, Star Wars was always made by Lucasfilm, a company started by George Lucas himself, who created the Star Wars universe. This new movie will be made by J.J. Abrams, who produced and worked on many reputable movies, just like Mission Impossible, Star Trek, Men in Black, and many other household movie names. The main issues fans took with this movie was that it borrowed too many ideas and plot themes from A New Hope. Just as the staff from Looper.com, a well-known movie critique website, said on their article How The Force Awakens is a remake of A New Hope, J.J. Abrams is awesome, and rather than coming up with a brand new story for his take on Star Wars, he decided to remake the original Star Wars film A New Hope. Anyone with eyes and a functioning brain can see that there are a few passing similarities between the two films. The largest similarities are between Kylo Ren and Starkiller Base. Kylo Ren is an obvious reincarnate of Darth Vader, cloaked in all black, with a mask that lowers his voice and gives it a cool animatronic tone. Kylo is too similar to Darth Vader to be a new and unique character. Starkiller Base is in your face, and it's a foolish objective for our heroes. Just like in A New Hope, it's the hero's job to go and destroy the planet-killing machine. In A New Hope, this was just called the Death Star, and it is pretty much the same idea. Kylo Ren and his First Order, just like Darth Vader and the Empire, are running around this massive movable base that contains the power to destroy any planet they choose. This similarity was lazy and almost a smack in the face to many fans. Second movie in the trilogy, The Last Jedi, somehow topped this. The Last Jedi did not suffer from the same issues that The Force Awakens did. This movie was directed by Rian Johnson and had its own set of issues, many considered to be worse than The Force Awakens. Rian Johnson was behind a few movies before The Last Jedi, like Looper, the Brothers Bloom, and Brick. Seemingly a strange choice for a director, but we went along with it. The Last Jedi killed and rubbed Luke Skywalker in the dirt. If you've watched the original trilogy of Star Wars, you know that Luke Skywalker was the Jedi who never quit or gave in. For many, like myself, we looked up to this character for this reason, and he was probably why Star Wars was so popular. So many young girls and boys loved his tenacity. He was a hero who alone stood against the Empire and Emperor Palpatine with seemingly impossible odds, won and restored his father Darth Vader to the light side. But in The Last Jedi, Luke as a character was murdered, as said by Joseph Choi, a film critic on the website Medium.com. This film is a big middle finger for anyone who grew up believing in Luke Skywalker. Without any good reason, it completely destroys his established character and turns him into a terrified, cowardly old man committed to dying alone and wallowing in regret. Luke Skywalker was the only character that should have never acted like this. Compared to the original trilogy, this Luke was exactly what the old Luke would have despised and fought against being. To me, this was an act to make the new saintly character Rey, the main hero, to seem more like a hero. But this was the wrong way of doing it. In my opinion, it would have been better if Luke had just died somewhere in the timeline between the two films. Some people back the story plot up as said by Matt Miller on Esquire.com. They wanted Luke to fly down in his X-Wing, to hit some bad guys with his lightsaber, to save the day, and live happily ever after with Leia, whether she's a sister or not. But that's not what Johnson gave us. Instead, Skywalker has been shaped by the challenges for the last 35 years. His opinion about the Jedi, his life, rebellion, heroes, and villains has changed. It's almost as if he's grown up. Matt Miller also backs up his claim by saying that Luke's actions in The Return of Jedi, an original trilogy film, foreshadowed this by deciding not even to fight Darth Vader, because that means he will lose his soul to the dark side if he wins, and why he refuses to fight in The Last Jedi. This claim is ridiculous for many actual Star Wars fans because we interpret it a different way. The general consensus was that Luke chose not to fight Vader because he was his father. Luke felt the pull of the dark side when he fought Vader, but it wouldn't make sense that Luke would just stop fighting back against anything after that. Luke was a fearless character who wasn't afraid to fall into the dark side. He refused to fall to the dark side. And in this particular fight against his father, he felt the pull more than any fight before. The icing on the cake of this horrible Star Wars fandom was that of The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker had a storm of issues for me. One of the main issues I had with the film was the pacing. I was not alone on this either. As said by Eric Kane, a writer for Forbes.com, probably my number one problem with The Rise of Skywalker was just how rushed it felt. The first act of the movie is blown through. They toy with the fans' heart by faking the death of Chewbacca and not even giving the fans a second to realize what just happened or to mourn. They continue on like nothing ever happened and that he was important after all. And then 2 minutes later, he comes right back. The largest and most blatant issue with The Rise of Skywalker was Rey, the story's main character, and we find out that she is Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. While this makes no sense to many non-Star Wars fans, let me put it this way. The ancestry of Rey was hidden for 2 films, and in the new movie, we find out she is the granddaughter of the most evil villain in the universe, and they provide no explanation as to how she is, why she is, or how she ended up where she was when The Force Awakens came out. The fact that she is related to Emperor Palpatine isn't the issue. The biggest issue is that there's no explanation, which usually is the most interesting part about Star Wars and what makes most people fall in love with it. In conclusion, today I hope I pointed out my many issues with these films clearly, and I maybe somehow convinced a few of you Star Wars fans out there to reconsider your opinion about Disney when they decide to make these films. At this point, Disney has made a new Star Wars film seem like beating a dead horse to me, and their issues with The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker are ruining Star Wars for many fans like you and me and future generations. Thank you.